How's it going, guys? This will be a three-part video repairing these receivers. They are realistic STA 2270, all three of them. Pretty much I got one. I was having problems repairing it because no matter how you can look and look and look on the internet and you cannot find the schematic. These machines came with a schematic when you bought it brand new in the owner's manual, but nobody seems to have one anymore, or hasn't published, on an audio forum or anything that having the displaying it. So anyway, so I ended up getting a second one in hopes to be able to be easier to figure out what's going on with the first one, because you'll be able to take like voltage readings and whatever not from different parts of the machine. And the machine 2 has problems as well. I ended up with three machines. Basically this one right here is the best. It seems to have the least amount of hours on it. The only thing wrong with it is one of the lights on here is burned out. Tuner works good, all the controls seem to work good. It does need a little bit of deoxit in a couple of the pots. I'm not going to put the cleaner in all of the pots. I'm not going to do that. Just the affected areas. Mostly it's these buttons. The reason is that these things have grease in them, and the grease is what's protecting them from getting nasty. And if you spray the deoxit in there, it'll rinse away the grease. Granted, it'll work fine after you spray the deoxit in it, but then be a lot quicker as far as going and getting messed up again. Deoxit is a fine product, but it is a solvent as well, and it'll wash away that grease, and some of these controls have no trouble at all, so I'll just do the affected ones. I've named them. This is machine A, the best one. Machine C is the worst off one, and machine B. Machine B, none of these lights right here work at all. The stereo light, they're kind of like an LED, but they're like surface mount and naked, if you will. It's everything in these machines is through hole, everything, which is kind of neat because of the I think a lot of guys are interested in this older audio stuff just because you can fix it as long as you can find the components. It's bad, but it's you can take the part out and solder a new one in, and everything is through hole except for the board that this is on. Has a potted IC, kind of like what you find in a calculator or a digital watch. And these LEDs, from the front they look like a through-hole LED, but they are, I don't even know if they're LEDs. They may be just a filament stretched across the board and soldered fast. I don't know. I don't really look too much into it. I did tear into this one because they didn't work either, and I tried kludging a surface mount LED, like laying the legs along the side of it and then bending it around, and I got one of them to work, and then another one that was burned out, I went to do it and ended up breaking the solder on the one that I fixed. It just wasn't working out. Maybe if I had some surface mount LEDs, I might be able to get something to work with the lights, but they seem to be, I didn't actually check it, the voltage, which sounds kind of weird, but I just grabbed a through-hole LED and just stuck it to the terminals, and it was lighting up. It didn't seem to be, crazy bright or anything, for the size or the type of bulb it was. So I was just kind of going with it, and so it seems to be around the same voltage, somewhere around the 3 to 5. I don't know. I'll have to check it. I had an idea of taking out some LEDs out of a dashboard instrument panel, surface mount, and see if I can't get some of these things to come back. This one here is off balance, which is a bad problem with these machines. It's louder on one side than the other. This is machine B. Machine C, which is me primarily what this video is about. I'll get it up here on the bench and I'll show you guys what's going on with it. So after I touched the last take, I got to think about more of what I want to talk about here. Machine C has trouble with the protection circuit currently. When I bought the thing, it had one whole amplifier section was completely burned up in it, and I mean like completely. I got the amplifier section working, and now I'm having protection circuit problems. We'll get into it in a little bit. This one's off balance. This one right here works perfectly. One of the things bad about the 2270 and the 2280 is, and I would recommend it, if you're interested in a realistic vintage machine, go for the 2500 or the 2600. The power supply is separate up here in the top, and it's at the top of the machine, which makes all the heat. So it's at the top of the machine. It's you know, the heat is not distributed between all the components. The amplifier does have some regulating power transistors and stuff, but just like little BJTs. But it doesn't. The amplifier section at low volumes doesn't get super hot, so you don't have as much thermal cycling and things with the 2500 and the 2600. So the problem with these machines, the 2270 and the 2280, is too much heat. They would have been okay for constant 10 years of service, but as a vintage 30-year-old thing or older, you know, because these things are just going to get older and older, these aren't the greatest. I am going to put a fan in them to at least distribute and keep stuff from getting so hot. But you thermal cycle, even in short term, like 10 years, solder joints and things a lot of times break on thermal cycling. But, you know, after decades, the thermal cycling affects transistors and ICs and all kinds of things. And it's just like a naked light bulb. So you break the glass off of this bulb, and it has its own atmosphere in here. I'm not saying that IC has its own atmosphere, but then you turn this bulb on, you know, open to our atmosphere, and it'll burn out very quickly. And you know, when the thermal cycling and moisture and things can get in these things and cause them to be quieter or not work properly. I did notice one thing with this machine is every once in a while it's a little poppy on the right side. It could be part of that, but anyways, this one right here, I'm going to replace all the output transistors, both these pre-driver ICs, and clean, you know, spray some deoxit in some of the pots, clean all of the buttons and things up, and I'm going to use the nicest sides that I have, the nicest top, cosmetically try to put everything nicest on this one, which I think machine B has the nicest face. But you know, get this one here so it's perfect, you know, mint-ish as condition as I can get it. But I'm going to take the working nice parts and try to fix this one with the off-balance condition. And that's the whole goal with this one. Also cleaning the pots and things like that. But it'll have like the second best pieces and cosmetics that I have. While machine C, which I'll show you the reasons why, it's just going to have all the junk that's left over. And I do plan on using it, but there is some issues that makes it so it's not right. Alright, so here's the parts from machine C that's been replaced so far. The main complaint with it was there was no audio output. One side amplifier was completely burned up. And you can see here's the pre-driver. This uses a STK type pre-driver instead of using the like a TO220 or even a BJT. That's one thing with the STA 2500 and 2600 that I'm recommending that anybody who's interested go buy that one. They use TO220s. These things get hot just sitting doing nothing, and once again that kind of contributes to, I believe, they get contaminated after a while. So initially the parts that needed replaced was, I'm not saying that this is the resistor that I had to replace, but we had the emitter resistor, the output, there was a resistor, and yeah, pre-driver. And I was able to get it to have audio if I jumpered the relay on the protection relay. I was able to jumper the speaker, outputs on it, and it had audio on both sides. The next problem was, and then I also recapped it. Here's all the capacitors. I recapped the entire board for the amplifier / power supply that's integrated together. Placed all the caps. Then the problem is that there's degrading resistors and stuff, and this is due to it was piston, and there's staining on the board. At first I thought it was water, and it ended up being urine. When I started taking a soldering iron to it, you had that whiff of burning piss, and that is what's going on with it. And I replace, basically what happens with it is I ended up getting it working, and then you turn it off, and then when to turn it back on, it wouldn't come on until you let it sit and warm up, locked out. And after it warmed up, then it would start working. And I started going around with a straw and sucking on each one of these resistors and Zener diodes, and there was no effect. But then I started blowing through the straw just ever so slightly, and I got to a Zener diode, which isn't laying here, but anyways, and it would kick out. So I replaced it, and then it seemed to be fine. It seemed to be fine for a while. I took it to the garage, hooked it up, and blasted it for the day. And I had my electronics buddy came out, and I was kind of, showing him and kind of gloating about it a little bit. And he no more than left, and it started acting up again. It kicked out almost as soon as he jumped in his car. And I'm like, what the heck's going on with this thing? So I get it home, and I find a resistor that had the same effect with this. And I pulled it out and took my voltmeter and put on it on ohms, and go across it, say it's supposed to be a 780K or something like that, and it'll read that until you put a little bit of moisture on it, and it'll just go all over the place. So we'll get the unit up here and I'll show you what's going on. Alright, so the area that has the urine on it is pretty much just right here, and it's the protection circuit stuff. And you can see I replaced some resistors and things down in here. I got some components on the bottom just because they were used pulls and it was easier to put them on this side. But here's a Zener, here's a Zener. This capacitor right here is actually the time delay for basically when you turn the unit on, it has to charge this cap, and then once the cap is charged, and then the protection relay clicks in. You can adjust how long you want that time delay to be just by the size of the microfarad of this cap, which is normally directly on the other side. You can see here there's corrosion from the urine hanging on it. I'm kind of looking at this machine here as it's just not even it's not even fair as far as the ability to diagnose and repair it, because it's damaged in a way that you just normally don't have. It just seems like the urine just went into the ends of the things of everything. This IC right here was bad, I replaced it, and it just seems like it's as I'm using it. I fix it, hook it up, play with it for a while, and it works, and then all of a sudden, wham! It's falling apart as I'm using it. You can see here is corrosion on some of these, these pins that the wire's wrapped around. Yeah, it's just crazy. So anyways, other than putting some deoxit on a couple of these things here, I'm just going to put it together and use it as it is. Right now the protection circuit doesn't work. But what I did is on this IC right here, if you jumper these two pins, what happens is it immediately, as soon as you hit the power button, the protection relay clicks in. So it has no protection at all. So it could very easily, if you burnt this thing up, it could burn out your speakers, or it's not going to shut itself down due to any kind of abnormalities it might have within itself. It's not going to shut down. Another problem with it is that when you turn it on, it closes that relay instantly, so you get a pop through the speakers. And same way when you turn it off, it'll have like a wind down effect and then pop. That can be controlled by just the user being, you turn the speakers off before you turn it off. When you turn it on, then you can turn your speakers on. That'll work fine for me because I'll remember and do that. And even if I forget, it's just a one DC thump. It's not like, which the speakers can pretty much probably handle that. I don't know about a set of headphones. It's not DC for indefinite time or anything like that. But I don't really feel the need to finish putting this machine together for you guys and have it sitting here working. I mean, it works fine. It's balanced, but this video is probably getting long because it was kind of an introduction, plus talk about this thing. I actually made video with this and it was like 2.5 hours long because I just kept adding to it as I found things wrong, and it just got to where it was ridiculous. But so this is machine C, the worst one, off, and it works, and I'm just going to use it as it is till it dies. In general, it's kind of like an old person, that didn't die of one thing. They kind of just got old and died of multiple. It's just dying of multiple problems. But I'll catch you guys later. And I don't know which machine we'll work on next, machine B or A, but maybe A because I got to pull the parts out of it and switch them out. But until then, I'll catch you guys later.